Yo, what's up, everyone? It's me. I'm here for a little cup of joe. And the devil you know. It's me. It's me. I'm the devil you know, because the devil you know... Don't they say, like, the devil you know is greater than the devil you don't? Or better than? Or, like, cooler and better than the devil you don't know? So it's me. I'm the devil that you know. Because I'm silly like a little devil. I got the Murph with me. She's eating her lunch. Are you enjoying your lunch? I just don't need to be putting my baby on YouTube. Like I did in one podcast I did. So I'm cutting up. It's probably shaking the John. I'm just cutting up some bread for this child. She has a very healthy and balanced diet. We eat this like, Dave's Killer bread. It's great bread. And now look, see, I found out I have a gluten allergy. Here's some bread. So I found out I have a gluten allergy. If it's just because I'm pregnant, I don't know. I'm not sure. But that's confirmed. I'm pregnant again. We are having another girl. So we're so excited. But that's not why I came here today. As much as I know, anyone who's watching this loves me and loves my personal life and wants to know everything that's going on in my personal life and, really cares. I live my personal life. So there's, as an artist, as a creator, there's just something about engaging with outside thoughts that aren't about me and like my inner world and my beautiful children and my perfect family. I don't say that ironically. I have a perfect life. Well, that's interesting, because there are plenty of people who will hear that and say, what kind of person is she to assume that she has a perfect life? Let me tell you, it's a choice. How you perceive your life is a choice. That's up to you. So if you don't live a perfect life, that means you don't see your life as perfect. Either change how you see it, look around and say, shit, I got a roof. Now this is for people who have a roof. I'm sorry if you don't have a roof. If you can make the best of that, if you're living in Florida, you don't got a roof, and it's warm and it's not flooded or anything. See, I'm doing disclaimers. Caden's been saying to me recently, you don't have to put a disclaimer on everything. I would tell you the example, but I can't. It was funny though. I gotta stop putting disclaimers on things. He's right about that. I'm allowed to just authentically say something and mean it however I mean it, and it's up to you how you interpret it. If you interpret it in your own way, that's up to you. So I just gotta say it and put it out there and not worry about how someone else interprets it. That's how I interpret what he means when he says you don't need to put a disclaimer on everything. He's basically saying you don't need to, I gotta get some creamer for my Joe. You love bread? Now, I don't want people saying, why is this lady giving her child a slice of bread for lunch? You don't know anything. She ate a whole an eggie and a half, scrambled eggie and a half. Yeah. She ate half a pack of organic blueberries. And now she's having a slice of whole wheat bread. And she's got some toys under here for when... I just had to make this episode, and it's really hard to, as other parents out there will know, especially stay-at-home parents will know, that when that nap time hits, you're getting that baby down for the nap, and you're like, like I'm gonna get to do the things I've been like seeing around me all day, and you're like, that sink of dishes, that's a pile that's gonna topple over and fall on the floor. And then you're like, ooh, while I'm looking at that floor, imagining a pile, why don't I mop that thing? You know what I mean? You go through all these things and you're like, oh man, like, I got some laundry, and like, you're like, yeah. And then when the nap comes, where does the time go, you know? For me, I like to get dinner started with her nap because her timing. See, I'm going on about that. Did I not already say? Your mom's silly. I'm silly. Are you having a good lunch? Listen, you need some water. Don't forget about hydration, Murph. You want a sip of water, Murphy? Yes. Say, yes. Yes. Some water. Oh, that's good stuff. Yeah, that's good stuff. Your belly's gonna be so full. Your belly's gonna be so full. I had to make this goddamn episode. I had to. It's been on my... you're all done? It's been on my fucking mind for days. I've been sending myself texts about it. I don't know where I was going with all that. Don't you just love this shit? I have a great time. Don't you just love this? This coffee's lukewarm. This coffee's from this morning. Let me pull my little hairs out. Oh, yeah. It's all in perception, man. If you look around and you're like, my life's not perfect, you're gonna... Law of attraction, man. Law of attraction. What a man thinks about, a man is what he thinks about all day. Right? Like, for my former addict friends or alcoholic friends, like, when you were in your addiction, what were you thinking about all the time? And who were the people that were coming around? And where were the places that you were going? What were the things that you were doing, right? It's it's just an easy example. It's an easily grasped example of what I'm talking about. Right? When I was doing drugs, I wasn't fucking hanging out with young moms at the playground who were discussing different ways to wear our babies. I don't even do that now. But I was hanging out with drug addicts. Like, I was hanging out with people who had the things I wanted and that I thought about all the time, right? So it's like, that the law of attraction doesn't just, because then, you know, that's obvious because you're texting people, you're seeking people out. You're like, that guy doesn't have any teeth and he's looking over his shoulder every 3.4 seconds. That guy's got drugs. I'm going. I never did drugs like that. Unless Adderall makes you like that, because it made me like that. But, no, if your life isn't perfect, either you have to change your perception of what perfect is, or you gotta change the things that your life is, that you're doing in your life. So it really comes down to, I say I have a perfect life because I have a fiance who loves me, truly, really loves me, who I love right back. The effort that we put in our relationship, it's not easy to be in a dedicated relationship with someone that you love, because especially Kate and I are different. We're very different people. We're very similar in many ways, but we're very different in a lot of, like, kind of important ways. I'm very spiritual. He's not very spiritual. You know what I mean? So he's very scientific, mathematically gifted, and I am not. In fact, people start talking about math or science, or like talking about like things, mathematic concepts. I was always told that I was a genius growing up. So one of my triggers, know your triggers, shadow work, very important. One of my triggers is not understanding something. Do you want your water? Do you want to drink it? Or do you just want to play with it? Because if you just want to play with it, you can have play with it. Oh, you're done eating? Okay. There's a little piece of eggy left. Do you want that? You got some bread and you got some eggies. So, I'm here. You let me know what you need. Here, I'll give you some sips. You want some sips? Yes, you'll want some sips. I get very frustrated when it comes to mathematical concepts because if I practiced, I could, but I just don't have the brain for that, you know? And it's not really... So when Caden explains things to me, it used to be worse, but I get so frustrated. And now we just know. Now I just know, I'm like, listen, if you continue trying to explain to me imaginary numbers and why this and why that, I'm going to start to get frustrated. And I personally, I grew up in like a spiritual family, so like I know when I'm getting frustrated. I grew up in a spiritual family, but that doesn't mean that I didn't have a lot of struggles. I discovered a couple, maybe like 5 or 6 or 7 years ago, that when I start to get frustrated or upset, or I'm even just, I know that I'm saying something out of like anger to someone, even if it's like petty as fuck, and I'm like, oh, well, like, weren't you just saying that you were going to do that last week? I mean, you could probably see it on my face. I am not looking at my face, but like I could feel my eyes like squint. My crown chakra, or for those who are, you know, like my scalp starts to tingle. It starts to like tingle, and it happens to me always. Like it has always happened to me ever since I tuned into it. And I know that that's when I'm like, okay, that's my higher self, like connecting to me and being like, you're speaking from a place of anger right now. And it doesn't always stop me, but I've learned to tune into it. I've learned to know what it is. And it's been helpful. But I get frustrated about math. And so either get a perfect life or say you have a perfect life. So it's perfect. I have children. I have a beautiful little house. It's perfect. I have pictures on my wall. I got lights hanging up. I got a dog. I got a cat. I got snacks. I got food. I got rat earrings. I got a couch. Look at that. I have everything I need. So to me, that's perfection. Having everything I need. You know, this concept of perfection is like the equation on a graph that like it like goes like this, but like it never really like touches. Like, hey, Kona, come here. Like it never really like touches the bottom, or however it works. Like the graphic is like this or whatever. It's like there's no such thing as perfection, you know. In the grand scheme of things, a lot of these people who are searching for perfection are also the people, and this maybe as an assumption because I don't really hang out with people like this, but like people who are looking for the, like, going out and being like, oh my god, that's a brand. Like, I need the brand name. Like, I need this. Like, I need that. I need to show that I got this thing that, like, the rest of the world tells me is of the quality, and I want the world to recognize me as being part of this group that can afford these high quality. Maybe I'll be perfect that way. It's like, that's just not me. So for me, perfection is having everything you need and just having everything you want. And you can change that. You can change what you want. What I wanted 7 years ago, 5 years ago, 2 years ago, 2 months ago, it changes, right? It's different. And being a parent, I know, has a huge impact on that. On Halloween, our little cousin said something that, like, made me, like, blast off. That's my next idea. There's a nice guy on Twitter who gave me some really great ideas for podcasts. I still have to do more research because I don't want to go into a podcast not having done enough research. Like, I have a Sandy Hook podcast that I'm preparing for, and I have, like, I'm, like, taking all these notes and everything, and, I just, like, in a way, I really hope it really doesn't blow up or anything, because I really don't want to get sued. But the thing is, like, have you ever noticed, like, the kids on the playground, like, if you, like, if, like, the, like, what insult would hurt the worst? Like, if someone came up to me and was like, you're so tall, what are you, a giraffe? And be like, what? Or like, you're so short, what are you, like, a bug? I'd be like, I'm very average in height. I'd be like, I guess, like, I guess. But if someone came up and was like, oh, what, are you insecure because your mom couldn't love you the way you needed her to when you were a kid? My face would get red, and I know I would get upset, and that's when I would have the energy exchange, right? I'd be like, fuck you, you know? That's fucked up for you to say. You don't even know my... How do you even know? How would you even know that? What, did you listen to my podcast? You know what I mean? Like, so I just think that the people who are suing the people who are just, like, doing free speech... seems like maybe he hit a nerve. You can easily argue that talking about my kids dying not being real did hit a nerve, but it's like, he's not the first one. In fact, if you do some basic fucking just Googling, no, actually Google's not the place to go because they do block that, but put your bread over here, or no, I'll put your bread in your little cup holder. There you go. Okay. I love being a mom. Just remember, you can create what perfection is in your life. Just choose it. It's gratitude is the key to that way of thinking, I believe. And I speak as though I'm an expert. I am certainly not. I just started when I would start getting, like, when I would get frustrated with the baby for, you know, waking me up in the middle of the night. As babies do. I got frustrated, as parents do, as human beings do. And I would, in my head, and, you know, of course I'm doing the mom thing. It's okay. Shh, like, patting her on the back, giving her milk, changing the diaper, giving her water, doing what I have to do, putting the lullaby thing, the thing on. I'm doing all the right things on the outside, but in my head, I'm out of tune with that because I'm thinking, like, I tuned into my thoughts and I realized I was having, like, a victim mentality, which is never good. But I was having a victim mentality about just the basic challenges of parenthood and raising children. Oh, you're throwing it. Don't throw it. I know you love to throw it and do cause and effect. And, like, just doing this whole victim mentality. And my question to myself were, like the inner world I was having was, like, grumbling. Oh, like, why is this happening? Like, why? I deserve a straight 2 hours of sleep without interruption. Like this, what did I do? Like, what did I do to deserve this? Which, as a spiritual person, I've learned to recognize those cycles in my head. So I just started doing what I learned to do years ago when I was very depressed, relying on substances and, like, self-destructive behaviors. People would say, just gratitude. Like, you know, like, online people, friends, spiritual people I knew, like, I like gratitude. Like, just be grateful. Like, think of all the things you're grateful for. I've made many a gratitude list. I don't really connect with that because my mind starts going 1,000 miles per hour, and, like, I just feel like I have to, like, make it, like, as fast as I possibly can. So I just did the obvious thing, and I'm, like, holding this baby who's crying and who's, like, wrestling to get out of my arms but doesn't want to go in the crib, and I'm like, this is a gift. Like, this is a gift, this child. The greatest gift I've ever had, I've ever been given, or have given myself, or whatever you want to look at it, however you see it. But, like, she's, like, I'm so lucky to be doing this. And then I'd picture, like, in the near future, because she's almost a year, and it feels like time is so strange. Murph. Time is so strange because it doesn't feel like a year has gone by, yet she's grown so much. And so I say to myself, I would start saying to myself, treasure this moment, because in a couple years you won't be holding her. In a few more years you won't be holding her at all, but, like, she's so little now. She's just a little baby, you know what I mean? She can't walk. She's learning how to talk. She says mama for everything. She points at everything and says mama. Like, she wants to know what it is. She's like, mama. Like, what is that, kind of? She says dada. But, so I just had to, like, repeatedly change my own thoughts. And that's something that I've, like, been doing for a long time, and it's changed my life. But I don't think everyone knows how to do it. And I don't think everyone does do it. And like I said, I'm not an expert. I'm not a fucking practitioner. I've just, like, I've got, like, a fucking master's degree in the school of life. I'm only 25 and I've been through so much shit. I've been through a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff. So, you know, changing your thoughts. There are plenty of people out there who will be like, 10 chicks. You change your thoughts to manifest the life of your dreams. No. No. It's not a trick. It's not a trick. It's willpower. It's mental. It's the ability to speak to yourself in your mind. It's the ability... I don't know what these people are saying about, like, oh, if you don't see images in your mind, or if you don't hear your own voice in your head, like you're an NPC. Put that aside. Like, you hadn't even thought of that. You didn't even bring that. Like, I brought it up. Now you're like, wait, what? Just, it's willpower. It's like when you're standing there and you're thinking, this is the 5th night in a row that I'm waking up every 2 hours. What the fuck did I do to deserve this? I'm not happy. Like, this is not, like, what I thought it was going to be. This is not what I signed up for. Like, I'm just being very raw, very real. Some thoughts, automatic thoughts that were coming into my head. And it's like, what did I do to deserve this? It's like, it would even go to, like, my baby hates me. Like, that doesn't make any sense. At this time, she's like 7 months old, 7 months old. She's just waking up in the crib after sleeping with mommy and daddy for, like, the past few months, like, waking up in her crib, like, where the fuck am I? I'm not snuggling with anyone right now. This is not what I want. And babies in the wild will cry when they're alone. Babies should cry when they're alone. Babies should not be alone. I've struggled with having her in the crib. I've struggled, like, is that the right thing to do? Like, is this... And I know people will be like, that's what you're not supposed to have them in bed with you. It's like, I feel like a lot of non-parents are going to think that way. I think everyone finds the way that works for them. Does everyone raise a really mentally well child, though? Or a really self-sufficient child, though? Or a child that feels that they can trust their parents and therefore feels safe in the world and therefore behaves as someone who feels safe in the world. I'm seeing a lot of people who don't feel safe in the world. Even though they live in perfectly good houses, have perfectly safe vehicles, have perfectly good educations, have perfectly good incomes, food to eat. Where does that come from? I wonder if that comes from this culture of doctors who are liable because 1 or 2 drunk parents have rolled over on their kids. And I know it's more than that. I'm just saying. And then the doctors feel liable. And then it's like, oh, I'm going to sue my pediatrician because they never told me to not sleep with my kids. It's like, we're animals. These babies need us. The closeness of the bond with a mother, like, the baby needs that. I assure you, if you're a parent who went right to the crib and something in you, your mind was saying, no, this is what you do. This is what the doctor says to do. This is what all the books say to do. This is what the law or whatever says to do. This is what the warning on the crib says to do. So it's the right thing to do. Like, I promise you, I know there are many parents out there who had that feeling, I don't think this is the right thing to do. Like, I'd rather sleep with my baby. I'd rather snuggle with my baby. If you make it safe, after they're about a couple months, maybe like 3 months old, like, it becomes a lot safer. But if you can make it safe, it's totally fine to sleep with your baby. We would still be sleeping with the baby if we didn't have another baby coming, because we don't want Murphy to be like, oh yeah, like, I snuggle with mom and dad every night, and then when the new baby comes, it's like, oh, this thing came and now suddenly I don't do that. Let me put 2 and 2 together. It's the new baby's fault. So we started teaching her to sleep. And we were teaching her a little anyway. And she does great now. She does great. remember how I said I wasn't going to make this about whatever, who fucking cares? Like, literally, who fucking cares? It's just off the dome, dude. It's just whatever we're talking about. But yeah, like, when I would get frustrated because this baby's learning how to sleep by herself, that's stressful for a little baby. It's like, yeah, these automatic thoughts would come into my head that were so, like, victim mentality and so, like, why? Like, asking why in most cases, like, is not going to get you anywhere. Especially if it's, like, you're talking about something that you're feeling. Like, why is usually not the best question. Because a lot of times it doesn't matter, and the why is not related directly to the solution. And I'm a solution-oriented person. Bless you. Bless the baby. You want some more bread? Like a little duck? You want some bread? Yum. Yum. Bread. So it's like, I started just saying, oh my God, like, I'm so lucky to have this child in my arms. And I've experienced pregnancy loss, so then, like, this just worked for me. The way my mind is, it's kind of like, my brain is kind of, like, tough. Like, it's kind of like, you gotta, like, my brain, like, I have to, like, convince myself of something sometimes. Things that I know are true, because, like, I'll just keep on with the victim mentality in this scenario, but I could think of other examples of what I'm talking about. But I'll be like, just remember, like, that feeling of thinking you were about, like, that moment when, you got the ultrasound in 2019 and they said, there's no heartbeat, I'm so sorry. Like, the thoughts I had in the weeks after my miscarriage were, like, I'm not gonna... Are you alright? Listen. Just chew it. Chew what you got. Chew. Chew what you got. Chew what you got. Very good. I know you want more, you got chew what you got. You're a silly goose. Why aren't you honking? You're a silly goose. Here, take some water. It'll soften the bread. You can chew it better. You're so sweet. Thirsty girl. Very good. It's like, I'm like, so now I'm standing here rocking this baby that I do have, and it actually did help me to remind myself there was a time that all you could think about all the time was that you didn't have a baby to rock. That you weren't going to have a baby to rock. And now I got this one. Now I got another one coming. I'm so fucking blessed. You see what I mean by I feel like my life is perfect? Bro. Murph. Perfect. It's perfect. So, yeah, there's no trick to changing your thoughts. There's no trick. You just do it. So in the moment, you're like, why me? My life sucks. I've worked so hard. I don't deserve this. You just literally, it's like you just gotta change it to, like, life is hard sometimes, but you got this. And then that's how it's gonna feel the first time. You're gonna be like, life is hard, but I can do it. And it's not about what I deserve. And you're going to be like, the victim in your head's going to be like,
that's not true. You're a victim. You're supposed to be saying, like, you worked so hard,
like, why are you doing this to me? Like, but then every time you say, nope, no one ever told you life was going to be easy. Life is hard. If you have to think about time, like, because sometimes I'll go black and white thinking, and I'm like, this is so hard. Like, I didn't sign up for this, and I'm like, my whole life has been hard. This happened with my mom. This happened with my dad. This happened when I was 5. This happened when I was 10. I had this happen. I had this. And it goes down the list, and it's like, my life sucks. My whole life sucks. Oh, my God. And then it's like, That's like that's what it's like, man. It's like a dragon inside of you that's like the victim. It's like this dragon. It's like, yeah, like roaring, like breathing fire. Yeah, like yelling at you like you're a victim. Yeah, just like that, Murphy. Hi. But it's not true. That's not really what it is. So you can remind yourself of unrelated times where you're like, oh man, wait a second, that guy came up to me on the street and said, wow, like you have like the best style I've ever seen. Like, it's not true. Like, but like, you know, or it's like, oh my God, wait, but that time that you went to Dorney Park and you had the best day ever, that was a good time. And like, oh man, like you painted your cabinets and now they look great. And it's like, oh man, yeah, not everything's shitty. You know, not everything's bad. You're not a whole victim. Sometimes you may feel like a victim, but you just gotta force yourself to change your thoughts. Because the way it works is neural pathways in your brain, right? Neural pathways in your brain. They're literally, the neurons fire and move down a pathway to get to their destination. Do you need some more bread? You did have a big lunch. I would think maybe you're not hungry, but you love snacks. You gotta carve out neural pathways, okay? It's like, it's the same in grass. Like if you walk the same, we have 2 little pathways around this chair that's in our yard of the dog, and it's like dog paths. It's like, you can tell where he always walks. It's like kind of like carved. It's like a little path, right? It's like, you can tell. Like in the woods, a path. It happens because either they dig it out or because people walk through it. Someone either forcefully digs it out or because so many people walk through it over time, the plants stop growing there, right? That's what happens in your brain. So if you're continually sending the same messages to yourself, it's a smooth passageway. It's like totally big, clear, open hallway for the neurons to fire down. It's like, I'm not good enough. You say that to yourself multiple times a day. Why do I deserve this? Multiple times a day. The neurons go. So the first time that you think to myself, and if you've never thought this before, I am good enough. This challenge that I'm meeting right now in life has nothing to do with what I've done in the past or how much I deserve. And that's the first time or the second time you've thought that to yourself, the neurons are going to be like,
this is so overgrown. How do we get through?
and it's going to go a little slower. But then those first neurons kind of are like, and then later, when you hit that victim mentality again, your brain's going to, the neurons are going to have a little bit of an easier time. They're going to be like,
hey, actually, wait. It looks like someone went through here recently. Wait, just go this way. And it's like, I can do this. It doesn't matter what I deserve. Life is full of challenges. It has nothing to do with me. It's not personal, right?
That's just what works for me. And I said I'm not a practitioner or an expert, but I have been through the school of life, and I have learned this. This is true. This neural pathway idea. It's not an idea. It's just a fact of neurology, your brain. It's just what happens, and this literally cured my eating disorder. Because I found about it when I was in treatment. And I was at the point where I believed what everyone said, like, oh, you never cure an eating disorder, it never goes away. And I likened it to like a room in your brain where you walk in, turn the light on, look around, and then as you leave to turn the light off, there's no more light switch. You can't turn the light off. Now you know this world. You know how to do these behaviors. You know how they make you feel and how they make you feel good, which is a video for another day. But that's just about neural pathways, right? So then if you stop going down the path, like I haven't drank in like 2 years, it's like that thing where it's like, oop, hit a struggle in my day, I need a drink. Walk to the refrigerator, open the drink, right? That pathway is completely overgrown in my head. If I was not pregnant and we had beer in the fridge and I was not breastfeeding and I had all this time and I could have a drink, like if I hit a struggle in the day, I would genuinely have to say, okay, now we're going to turn around, walk to the fridge, take a sip of a beer, and it's going to feel good. And my brain would be like, really? Because there's no path for that. But okay, we'll carve one out. Like, you know what I mean? This neural pathway is a revolutionary way of therapy, of changing your brain. And they're not going to tell you that because when it comes to therapy, you can cure a lot of people in one fucking session. I'm telling you, you can cure most people in a week, in 2 weeks, in a month without medication. But no one's going to make any money if they cure you from your mental ailments. Luckily, I had a good combination of therapists who gave a shit and just information that was hitting my brain at the right time. And I used it for my eating disorder. I used it for my alcoholism. If you talked to me 7 years ago, 5 years ago, 3 years ago, I would have given you a list of mental illnesses that I had. I would have given you the list. I don't say them because I don't identify with them anymore. Not like I identify as a flower or like a paint person. Like, no, like it's like they literally... These diagnoses, these criteria for these diagnoses, literally, I would not fit the bill anymore. And I had been identifying with mental illness since I was 13 years old. Before then, even actually, when I was 13, when I went to my first therapist, I had been engaging in self-destructive behaviors since the age of 11. I had been identifying with depression, suicidality, self-harm, all these things since the age of 11. I'm 25, and that's 14 years ago. It's been this year. Even when I was pregnant with Murphy, I was like, I'm not going to manifest, postpartum depression, but I'm going to keep an eye out because I have depressive tendencies. I don't. I quit all antidepressants. I have no depressive tendencies. I get sad. I get upset. I have I still to this day have trauma responses from chronic PTSD. But I know my triggers. I know what minerals and vitamins and foods and sunlights and exercises and thought patterns and things that I need to help me. So I just do those things. And no doctor has ever been willing to help me with any of these things. They have done nothing but prescribe me medications. And then when I had a horrible side effect, they're like, over the phone. I've never met the psychiatrist that I most recently had and stopped seeing. Never met her. She never did a brain scan. She never did a blood draw. She never did anything to see if I maybe had a vitamin deficiency, if my head injury, if I had an effect for my head injury. Never did an MRI to see where my brain would no brain scans, nothing. And I guarantee most of the people out there who are watching this, who have psychiatrists or who are on medications, same thing happened to you. No one ever did a brain scan on you. So you need to ask, or maybe a blood draw. Maybe, but you can't tell that much from a blood panel, and I'm telling you, they are not putting it through to see what vitamin deficiencies you have, what your genetic code, they're not doing that. They're just checking to make sure you're not on drugs and checking to make sure that you probably have enough potassium or whatever, or vitamin D, right? Which you probably don't have enough vitamin D. Get some more. Sunscreen. The sun's good. The sun's not going to fucking give you cancer. Go out in the sun. Trust me. I guarantee you, most of you people, and please let me know if you've had a brain scan before you were given antidepressants or antipsychotics or anything. I have never had a brain scan aside from after I had my head injury. I think they did a brain scan on me, and I don't remember because I was totally fucked up from the head injury. It just clicked with me one day. I've been going through a spiritual awakening. I've been for years, but I was kind of planing, kind of maybe even going down, and then I came back up, and I started zooming through it, and I realized, wait a second. I saw one headline or something online that was we've known for 11 years now antidepressants don't actually serotonin deficiency is not the actual cause of depression. We've known this for 11 years, and doctors just act like it is. It could be the cause of some people's depression. Your tongue. It actually makes me upset because I've been lied to by professionals for so long, but, I let it go. I let that go. I forgive them. They're being misguided as well. Not all doctors have bad intentions. They've been taught on misguided principles and pass it on because that's what the next episode is going to be about, dude, is soft brainwashing. Holy shit, it's so good. But these doctors, no one ever did a fucking brain scan. I'm sorry. You like your book? You like your book? You like your rainbow? And one of these rings. No one ever did a brain scan. So, like, I just, like, with a lot of things, like, once you wake up to the first thing, like, that the government lies, like, 9/11's an inside job, or, like, whatever wakes you up, or that, like, there's more to you than just mind, body, spirit, mind, body, emotion, spirit, like, it's like, it was so quick for me to wake up, I realized, oh my God, this woman does not know what is happening with my brain. And I reviewed and I said, wait a second, what was our... She just said, I'm going to prescribe you this and this. Try that. See if that helps. It didn't. She's like, okay. So we come back the next month. And she's like, how you doing? And I'm like, not good. My tongue is swelling up. I'm having trouble sleeping. I'm having trouble remembering things. She's like, oh, yeah, that's bad. Those are bad side effects. All right, stop taking this one. Cut it in half. Take it for one more day and then cut it in half tomorrow for a couple days and then start on this and see. Like, it's just trial and error because it's easy. Like, I bet if she did a brain scan on me, she might say, oh, like, you're responding to this stimuli in this way. That's like, so I had been on psychiatric medication since I was like 13. They told me I was bipolar when I was 13, which should be illegal because the hormonal impact of puberty mimics bipolar disorder. And I had chronic trauma. I had chronic PTSD. So, like, and I was using substances. They never took any of this into consideration with me. And these are all extremely important things. I finally, when I was in treatment for my eating disorder, I had a therapist who was like, so you're going through this and this, but you're using alcohol and other substances at the same time. Of course you're going to be depressed. And I had a doctor who was at an inpatient place before then who totally gave me a wake-up call. Oh, my God. He was like, hello, Hannah. He's like, okay, I have a few questions for you. And I'm like thinking he's going to ask about my history, or he's going to ask about how I'm feeling, or about like my fucking insurance, or how much money I should pay them. Because he came into my room, that's just how they did it. The doctor kind of just stepped into my room just to have a little talk. And he's looking at my chart. He was so good. He's looking at my chart and he goes, okay, you are 22 years old? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, you came in here through the emergency room. You were highly intoxicated on alcohol. I said, yes. He said, you have an active eating disorder and your bodily statistics are like, this is where you're at. It's not very healthy. I'm like, yes. And he said, okay, you have depression? I said, yes. He said, you take antidepressants? I said, like, at this point, I was like, yeah, like, you just prescribed them to me. And he was like, okay. You know alcohol is a depressant? I was like, yes. Yes, I do. And he said, and he let it all add up in my head. You know, are you depressed? You're doing this, you're doing this, you're doing this. You drink all this every day. Alcohol is a depressant. And he goes, okay, you're going to die. I was like, he's like, yes, if you continue down this same pathway, you're going to die. Do you understand? And I was like, yeah, I do, yeah. And he's like, okay, if you have any questions, ask the nurses. I will see you tomorrow. Have a good night. And walked the fuck out. I had a lot of wake-up calls. I had wanted to die for a long time. I had a lot of wake-up calls. Something about this doctor just coming in, giving me the bare bones facts, laying them out for me, the contradictions right in my face, and then just said, you're going to die. I was like, and I'll tell you, I came into that facility wasted. They had to tie me down. They had to inject me with shit. Like, I was wigging out. waking out. They had like 3 big men like holding me down, and like a doctor like put his fingers here on, like if I tried to like sit up, like I just like I'd choke myself. It was bad. And they injected me with fucking sedatives, and I woke up and I signed myself in, and that was the last time I ever drank. This was September 3rd of 2020, I think. Alright, I'm done talking to the people. So this actually ended up being a really good episode, really useful. I know, we're gonna play. I'm so sorry. You've been so patient. Actually, we never don't play for this long. This is not good. But yeah, this is some important shit. So I got off all antidepressants. I stopped taking them a few months ago. Safely. I'm pregnant, so I was safe. I have literally never felt better in my entire life. And my primary care doctor said, well, the hormones of pregnancy are like being high, so... And she said that my last pregnancy. I was like, I'm feeling great. And she was like, that's great, but gotta make sure you're still gonna keep coming back to me and my fellow doctors so you don't stop giving us all your money. No, baby, that's not it. That wasn't it for me. Getting off these... I was a lot more depressed my last pregnancy. I have fluctuating emotions. I cry. I do feel sad. I get depressed. But I would not fit the criteria for someone who has depression, for someone who has anxiety, who has all these things. So they're not mine anymore. I don't identify that. I released them, and I don't identify with them anymore. And it's, it's the best I've ever felt. So, yeah, you literally create your world. And I'm sure there are people out there who are like, sounds like you just don't have the mental illnesses that you never had. Y'all, I am sure there are plenty of people who do have brain chemical imbalances and things. I did for a long time. I had chronic PTSD, and it mimicked bipolar disorder. I had alcoholism that mimicked bipolar disorder and depression, all these things. But it took effort and a lot of time and a lot of support and finding the right environment, eating the right foods. Check your fucking cabinets, because I'm finding out that people don't know that a lot of these foods say contains bioengineered food ingredients. That's not good. That's made in a lab. That's not natural. It does not come from living organisms. It's not good. Check the food in your cabinet. Check to see. There's a lot of misinformation online, but carrageenan is bad for you. These, a lot of things are just really fucking bad for you and are literally just fucking your health up, and your bodily health and your mental functioning are like this, and your spiritual as well is like, it's all tied in. So I don't know, man, get outside, get the sun. I would stop putting on sunscreen. Maybe if you go to the beach, put on some sunscreen. If you're like out in the heavy sun for hours at a time, put on some sunscreen. But you blocking out the vitamin D that your body desperately needs, we all are vitamin D deficient, is horrible for you. I'm telling you, your sunscreen is not doing anything for you. It's not doing anything good for you. I promise you. I said I'm not a practitioner, but I know this. This is just... It's just... The sun doesn't cause cancer. The sun is good for you. Okay, we all live in houses now. We don't live out on the plains in teepees or we live in houses most of the time. So unless you live outside or unless you work in the beating sun all day, that's a little different. Or if you're going to tanning beds and shit, but I don't know, man, the sun's good for you. It's not causing cancer, except the ingredients in sunscreen are known to cause cancer. So, good call. Thank you guys for watching. This has been A Cup of Joe and the Devil You Know. Let's play. Let's play now. Thank you guys for watching.